Walt, what is the most interesting thing you're doing in the studio now?
Well, at the present time, we're making a feature-length cartoon.
A feature-length cartoon?
Yes, the old fairy tale, you know, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
I made a trip to Europe in 1935. My brother and I and our wives. I had done a little story research on different fairy tales I might do, and Snow White was one of them. I remembered as a kid, I saw Marguerite Clark in it in Kansas City one time when I was a newsboy. They had a big showing for all the newsboys, and I went and saw Snow White. It's probably one of my first big feature pictures I'd ever seen. When I came back from Europe, I said, we're going to make a feature. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I just thought it was a perfect story. I started out with a very small unit right next to my office, and I handled it myself, and I picked certain boys that I put on assignment to work with me on the story. Then as I got the storyline set up, then I began to add units, and I finally ended up with every unit in my studio on it. We started sometime late 35, and we've had it in the theaters December 37th. Our artists at that time were not really ready. We needed another 2 or 3 years to do what we wanted to do with Snow White. I felt like I was going to get anywhere, I had to train my own people. The hardest job was to get the guys to quit fooling around with the individual drawing and to think of the group of drawings in an action. 50% of my time was spent in the sweatbox going over every scene with every animator. The other half of my time was spent on the story. We had to find a way to do it. We had to analyze action. There were no books. There were nobody I could bring in to teach it. We were self-taught. In Snow White, we had to have this believable character. I had to have a model that could pick up the ideas we wanted for the gestures and the movements and all of that. And then I photographed her and let that be a guide for the artist. You can't pull a tear out of anybody with a clown run. So I went for drama in Snow White. And we worked like the dickens to get that over. Without that heart, I don't think anything will laugh. In other words, with every laugh, there must be a tear somewhere, and I believe in that. There was all the rumors around about Disney's folly and all of this kind of stuff. We did have quite a pre-campaign on there, just out of curiosity. We had a big premiere, the Carthay Circle Theater, big, grand Hollywood premiere. All of Hollywood brass turned out for a cartoon. And it went way back to when I first came out here. And I went to the first premiere, never seen it in my life. All these Hollywood celebrities coming in, and I just had a funny feeling there. I just said, maybe someday they'll be going to a premiere of a cartoon.
I'm sure the boys and girls in the whole world are going to be very happy when they find out that the daddy of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is going to get this beautiful statue.
In December, when we released Snow White, we had a heck of a time getting enough money to finish it. 6 months later, we were sitting with all of our debts paid off, at least a couple $1 million in the bank. With the profits of Snow White, I built a studio. A year after that, we were back owing the bank $4.5 million. Snow White started a whole new era. We were then in big business. Snow White has been out 3 times, I think. And it'll come out many times again. I've got quite a few pictures like that I think are timeless. Hollywood has never been able to figure us out. It's funny, we do pictures, they look at them and they say, well, you know, in a kind of a disparaging way, this is wonderful for the kids. And I say, well, what's wrong with anything that's wonderful for the kids?